go. Okay, hello ladies, and welcome to the second module in the Discover Your True Self Foundation and Creation course. Now, Jody and Leah and I have already had a bit of a chat, which is absolutely fantastic. Today, what we're going to be doing is tackling limiting beliefs. Now, limiting beliefs need to get kicked to the curb, and I'm not going to talk to you about it too much until I bring up my diagrams. But in the foundation course, what I usually do in the Discover Your True Self Foundation course is we do just identifying limiting beliefs. I'm going to take the next 2-3 weeks if we need to, because with you guys in this creation course, this is about creating the life that you really want. And unfortunately, just identifying limiting beliefs alone isn't enough to do that. We need to identify them, and then you need to learn how to champion them or overcome them. And you need to get so practiced at that you can continue that right throughout your life. So that's where we're going to spend the next few weeks. And we're doing that because limiting beliefs, they're stoppers. They're cranky little buggers that we need to actually utilize to use as a tool. And some of them we actually just need to break down and get rid of them or replace. So we're going to spend time identifying your limiting beliefs, and you'll see why. And we're going to be really, really deep and dirty on that today. And then next week we're going to start overcoming them. Okay? But before we start, I just wanted to talk to you about this. And I told you I was going to talk to you about basketball. Now, my old state league coach in netball used to say this to me, and I was listening to Tony Robbins the other day, and he said exactly the same thing in different words. Life and how far you move in your life is going to depend with how much commitment you put to it. So at the moment, you guys are discovering your true self. You're discovering and you're creating the life that you want. That is going to happen as quickly and as successfully as the amount of time that you put into it. So what I want you to do is think in numbers right now. And this is why I want you to put your dream boards up and commit to them every day. If you think of a basketball team, and they've all showed up, okay, everyone showed up, but everyone's only putting in out of 10 about a 5% effort, about a 5 on the basketball court. They might win, they might lose, they might get a couple, they might high score, they might not, right? But if everyone shows up, everyone in that team, and they are putting in a 10, then, you know, unless someone gets bloody lucky, they're gonna high score every single time. So I want you to think about this process that you're going through at the moment, and I know we're only in the beginning, and just mentally and write it down in front of you, and you don't have to tell anyone. I want you to put a figure between 0 and 10 with how much you're showing up and how much you're committing to this. And we're going to do this every week. Just quickly put down a number, and because we can reflect back on the week and we can think about, you know, when I went to work and that person put me down, did I implement those strategies? Did I connect with my dream board? Did I set time aside for myself? So where are you? And then what I want you to do is next to it, put where you want to be or the level of commitment to changing your life that you want. Is it at a 10? Is it at a 2? So how important is this for you? And what I want you to do is start looking at that. And you can just do this every morning, every day, and just write a 10 down if that's where you want to be. Just to remind yourself that this is how much commitment that you want to put into living the life that you deserve. But it requires you to show up. Okay, it requires you to be an 8 or above. All right? And the cool thing about what we're doing is that you can actually implement every little part of this stuff into your daily life, no matter where you are, no matter what situation you are in. So we're a team, all right? And you are your team. You are your own team at the moment. So if your team is showing up with a 4, then change is going to be very slow. If your team, if you are showing up at an 8, 9, or 10, then change is going to come a lot more quicker and a lot more effectively, okay? So this is part of that. Part of doing that work is putting your dream boards up, putting your whys up, talking to your partners about them, making them malleable, connecting with them, owning them, okay? And the really cool thing about dream boards and talking to them, same with affirmation, is you get triple whammy. You get vision, you get thought. If you speak it, you get to hear it, plus you get the interaction of your body physically moving, which triggers your brain, which triggers all the senses. Okay, so doing it once and putting it aside isn't going to work, but having it there and continuously working with it. So I'm so proud of you guys. And I'll admit, looking at them and reading them, like lump in my throat, I'm such an empath. I'm such an empath. I was so excited. I could feel the excitement for you. And I was like, good on you as women for clarifying what you deserve. Because not being deserving is one of the biggest limiting beliefs that I found in coaching my women over time. Literally, it is one of the first things that women will say is, I don't deserve it. So we're going to focus on that today. We're going to look at that today. All right. The same, and I'm going to give out little nuggets, the same with those numbers with your social herd. We'll look at that later. Who are you surrounding yourself with that are committing to being happy, committing to living their own lives, committing to discovering their true self and creating their own lives? Are you surrounding yourself with a social herd that's working at a 10 to do that? Or are you sitting with a stagnant social herd that's working at a 2, 3, or a 4? Just a little hint to have a think and have a look around at the people around you and what they're doing. And if your social herd are working at a 2, 3, or a 4, then you may need to find other sources of your social herd, whether that's online, whether that's however you want. You need to be hanging out with people that are working at an 8, 9, 10 to do the same thing that you're doing, because it will create movement and momentum together. Yeah? I don't have time for 2s and 3s at the moment with what I'm doing. I'm like, I can't. There's not enough movement for me. All right? Excellent. So without further ado, we're going to get on to limiting beliefs. And ladies, like I said, unmute yourself, butt in, do whatever. You are going to get out of this what you put in. This is your time, so feel free, feel safe. All right. So what are limiting beliefs? What do they do? Limiting beliefs is such a self-description. What is that? Like, it describes itself. It's a belief that limits you from doing what you want to do. All right. And Leah saw this the other day. So I'm actually going to bring this up, and we're going to really intricately get into how they are formed, because limiting beliefs are little suckers, right? They're like parasites. They can come from anywhere. And it's really important that we identify where they've come from. And what I'm going to get you to do today is we are going to go through this together, and we are going to identify your limiting beliefs, and you're going to get a whole week to continue to do that, so that we have them in front of us on your pen and paper. Because you see, you can't fix a problem that you don't know is there. So once we've got it on paper, we've got it, we're in control of it, and we can do what we want with that works for us. All right, beautiful. So I'm going to bring this up. Bear with me. I need a new computer. Leah saw this the other day, and I've got a couple of stories. And as I'm telling stories, I want you guys to think as well. And Jody, you're a mum. Really important that you're a mum, because you can start identifying these limiting beliefs for your children. And same with you, Leah, in your ministry. This is going to be so valuable for you and the people that you support, because this is something really practical that you can use with them. And guys, I'm on a mission, as you know. So any of these, God, talk about it openly. Take the resources, use them with your kids, use them with your family at church, the people at church, okay? I'm more than happy for that to happen. Please don't feel like you don't have access to these things. They are yours. All right. So Leah saw this the other night, and Jody, you were trying to get on to see this. Now, it might be a little bit small, but I'll post it in the group so that you've got it. And I'll talk you through it now. So limiting beliefs, it's like a nasty cycle. It's like a sickness. I often say to people, it's like having a reduced immune system. If your immune system isn't working properly, then it allows for more and more and more viruses, more and more bacteria to come in and attack your body. All right, so we need to increase our immune system to limiting beliefs. We need to remove the toxins or the limiting beliefs that we had previously, and we need to increase our immune system so that we can block out any other limiting beliefs that are coming in. Okay, now limiting beliefs can come from a load of places, and I want you, if you need to write this down, they can come from yourself. All right, I'll zoom in there, and here's just some examples. They can come from your family, your community, your culture, your experience, your upbringing, okay? Any one of those places. They come from what we hear, what we see, and what becomes familiar. And I'm going to give you, we're going to do a few experiments as we're going along to give you absolute clarification on how that works. So we're going to come back to that in a second, and you're going to go, oh, Abby, my gosh. So what happens with these limiting beliefs, all right, is when we hear them, when we see them, when we think about them, when we see them playing out in other people's lives, they're constantly repeated and we internalize them. And this is where they become a belief. Okay, and I want you just to think, because it's really important when you're going through any type of change, the more that you actually move about, you can, and it sounds silly, but when you move with your physical body, it connects with your brain. So I actually just want you to put your hand now. I want you to think about a limiting belief that you may have, and we're going to identify these. So it might be, I'm not good enough. I don't have the technological skills. I start lots of things, but I never finish. And I just want you to place your hand on where you think you store that personally. Is it in your head? Is it on your belly? Is it out here? Where is it that you store that? Okay? And from this, and I can show you the toxic relationship with self cycle, which I showed Leah the other day. But Jody, I might, because Leah's seen it, unless she wants to see it again, stay on with you again to show you how these work. All right? Forms a toxic relationship with ourselves. Now, these limiting beliefs, if you can imagine, I'm just going to say some common ones. I start things and I never finish is one we've heard today. Money is the root of all evil. I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the support. Okay, what happens? These become excuses. They become validation or a reason to not move forward. And I'm going to show you how that works in a second with some absolute gold. I'm going to show you that your brain is actually searching for these excuses. It is searching for evidence to validate your limiting beliefs, okay? It's a really cool little experiment, all right? And then that becomes a blocker or a stopping agent because we've got evidence, all right? I don't have the time. You think about it in your head. You go, oh, I'd really love to go down to get my nails done. Oh, but I can't because I've got to pick the kids up from school. We've just validated that. And then we just don't go do what we need to do. And with that comes a whole range of emotions. It might be anger. It might be fear. It might be sadness. All right. And all these are stress-related emotions that impact our physical self and our mental self. And you can see there, and so the cycle continues. We go back to the start and we keep validating these limiting beliefs. And these limiting beliefs can turn into negative thinking. I'm not good enough. I don't have the time. I'm going to look silly. And then can you see how that cycle, and I'm so funny, I said to Leah, I'm so funny, I've got to do not pass go, do not collect $200 there, and we go back. Because we're constantly looking for these validations, this evidence of our limiting belief. So it puts us in a cycle, and I can show you that cycle. It's exactly the same cycle that I use for negative thinking because it all works the same. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment. Are you ready? I'm going to show you that your brain is looking for validation on these limiting beliefs. All right? And we've gone through a couple. You might start to identify some at the moment. Have another bit of paper that when you identify any limiting beliefs throughout this, if I say one, if someone else says them, make sure you write them down. As you were doing your dream board, limiting beliefs would have probably popped up. Okay, as you were, and your whys, all right? So that's just a really great tool as you're doing a dream board, is to be really mindful of the limiting beliefs that popped up. I'd love to build a house, but I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I want to start a business. My husband won't support me. I've started things previously. I've never finished them. You know, I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too whatever it is. And just start making a list of them. Okay, we're going to start identifying them. And you will find you can categorize them if you want to. The categories that I often use is money, relationships, self, business, and lifestyle. And they're the 5 that I often use to categorize if you want to categorize them. I can give you a template for that if you want to. All right, are you ready for this experiment? I'm gonna do an experiment, then I'm gonna tell you a story. All right, I want you to sit there and I want you to imagine. So unmute yourself because I'm gonna ask you a question. I want you to imagine that you're in a really cold room, so you're a little bit chilly. There's no one else around, but it's a little bit chilly. And I just want you to say the word silk about 10 times to yourself. So silk, 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 silk. Start doing that.
Out loud?
In your head
Out
or out
loud?
loud. In your head or out loud,
Okay.
whatever, doesn't matter. Silk, silk,
Yep.
silk. Silk,
Silk, silk, silk, silk, silk, silk, silk, silk, silk.
What does a cow drink?
Milk, 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 milk.
Milk.
Excellent. Did you say milk?
Mhm.
Well, it doesn't,
Wait,
does
first
it?
thought in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
It doesn't. It drinks water. But our
Yeah.
brain looks for, can you see what I'm saying now? It looks for what's familiar. Now, I've just made this word silk familiar for you within a short amount of time, and then I've asked you a question, and your immediate answer was not the right answer. Okay? It drinks water. But that's the answer that you came up with because it's familiar with what's in your brain. So if you have been taught your whole life that money is evil or that you don't deserve money, then your brain is going to look for evidence to clarify that. Okay? They actually did an experiment with all these people where they made them play Tetris for hours on end. Does everyone know the game Tetris?
Mm.
Yeah, for hours on end.
Yep.
Right? This whole heap of people, they just had to play Tetris for hours and hours and hours. And as a result of that, every single person reported that everywhere they went, their mind started playing Tetris with everything that they did. So they would be driving in their car and they would start lining the cars up and working out how they would fit in their shopping trolleys. They were playing Tetris in their mind with their shopping trolleys. Some people were even doing it physically. So what they'd done was they'd made the brain so familiar with this game of Tetris, it almost drove a lot of people insane. But then the brain was looking for validation of that. It was looking to continue that. So if you can think of playing for hours on end, playing Tetris, as your whole life, or however long, having a limiting belief, then your brain is going to go out searching for reasons to validate that, even if it's not true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So if you've heard something since you were really, really young, especially, your brain is going to look to clarify that. So sometimes taking away limiting beliefs can take some work. But then that's why I like to, and you'll learn next week, we use them as a tool. So we actually use them to our advantage, which I really like, using things that have hindered us in the past to our advantage, because it's really, really powerful. Now, I want to tell you a story about a young girl that I used to teach. Her name's Kayla. She's an amazing, amazing girl. And you may hear stories from this with your people in church. And Jody, you will probably hear stories come from school, and you can probably identify this yourself. And I know actually that you have a story of your own that will probably come to mind. I got a phone call. So Leah, just so you know, I used to work at a place called the Independent Learning Centre. My girlfriend Kate set it up, and then I came in and we made it into this amazing educational and support facility where we had young mums, young dads, young criminals, kids that didn't fit the box, homeless kids. Okay, and the high school used to ring us whenever they felt like they had a child that was too much. Whenever we were there to support people that didn't fit the box, but we were being used as a bit of a behaviour management when, you know. Anyway, I received a phone call from the vice principal this particular day, and they had a student there, young Kayla, and she was about 14, and the story that I got was that she was just a troublemaker. She just used to sit up the back of the classroom and, you know, she wouldn't listen and she wouldn't participate, and so she got labelled as a troublemaker, and that's what she got told throughout her school life, that she was a troublemaker, that she wouldn't amount to anything, that, yeah. Anyway, so I got her down, and she sat in my office for about 2 weeks, and she didn't speak a word. She didn't say anything because I was a teacher, so she had a preconceived perception of who I was and what I was going to think of her. Anyway, I used to ask her questions, and I found out she had a dog and a few other little things. And one day my stapler broke, and I got on the phone to get my receptionist to put in an order for a new one, and Kayla picked it up and done. She fixed it. And I was like, oh, do you like working with your hands? She went, And I said, well, I've got a toaster. Funny thing to ask you to fix, but can you come and fix my toaster? Yeah. So she's out there 20 minutes, half an hour later, she's fixed my toaster. Anyway, next thing I brought in, I had a whole heap of old bikes that my ex-partner was going to put together as a bike. We never got around doing so. The next day I brought all of them in with a whole heap of tools. By the end of the day, she'd created herself a brand new bike out of all these bikes, okay? But this girl had been told that she was no good at maths and that she would never amount to anything because she was a troublemaker. So she was pretty much deemed and useless, all right? And this is what she believed. Anyway, I got talking to her. She had a dog, and we organised that she decided that the dog needed a dog house. So we planned out how big this dog house would have to be and what the specifications would be. And I said to her, on Monday, we're going to go down to the hardware store and we're going to get what we need and you're going to create this dog house, okay? Anyway, Monday comes up and here's Kayla with her grandpa in a truck, in a ute, sitting in the driveway of the Independent Learning Centre with this dog house built, right, already done. She'd gone away and did it over the weekend. And I got out the measuring tape and she'd done it to specification. She didn't even take the paper home. And then I was a little bit naughty and I asked to go to the high school and I went and approached the person who had labelled her and told me that she was going to amount to anything, that she couldn't do maths. And, you know, said these are, well, Jodie probably knows what I said, but she can do maths. She just can't necessarily do reading a board. She also had, we found she had Irwin's disease, so she couldn't read black on white. So she couldn't read paper, she couldn't read the whiteboard. Okay. Now, if that experience coming to the Independent Learning Centre, and this young girl now has her own painting business, if that experience of her coming to us and us actually removing those limiting beliefs and showing her that she was good at maths and that she was going to amount to something, that she probably would have gone through her whole entire school life really troubled and her adult life still having those beliefs. So there comes a point in our life where we have to remove those limiting beliefs so that we can do what we want to. Because that story for Kayla could have potentially been really, really tragic if she didn't have the skills like you guys are going to have now to understand those limiting beliefs, understand where they came from, and then get rid of them. And I can identify so many people, adults especially, who have said to me, I got told this at school, I got told this at school, I got told this at school, and it still sticks. It still sticks. Or my family believed this. Okay, my sister has, and she still has this horrible limiting belief. For some reason, she feels like she's not as capable as me in business and not as capable as making money in a social situation, and that's something that she really, really, really struggles with. And we did a thing the other day, and we, with my mum and my sister, and we identified that that's the way that I was always portrayed, that I was always very naturally intelligent, and this was what that they saw around me. So I got pushed to do all of those things and to extend myself intellectually, whereas my sister was quite protected. So she grew up experiencing, hearing, seeing this, and now as a 29-year-old, she's only just starting to break down those beliefs now. I grew up thinking that you had to work really hard for your money. You know, my dad always said that to me. You get a safe job, you work really hard, you put your money away, you save, you do this, you do that. He's a farmer, okay, typical farmer. And it was only, you know, in the last 3 years that was challenged for me and that broke down. So I want you to start thinking about the experiences, because they can come in experiences, about your family's belief, the husband's belief that comes in. Okay, there's a lot of women that have said, you know, all men are terrible, or all the good ones are taken, or the, you know, the classic for me was it's just the way it is. Anything bad that would happen to me, whether that was abuse in a relationship, not having the attention that our family deserved from my partner, the whole town where I used to live would say to me, that's just the way it is. And I remember getting to a point, because I'd heard that so much, where I was like, oh, maybe this is just what being in a relationship with children is. You know, maybe that is just what that means, okay? So I want you to start thinking, have your bit of paper there and start putting it down, because these beliefs, they turn into negative thoughts, like you saw at the on the webinar, Leah. They turn into toxic self-relationships, which stop us from having good self-esteem and good confidence. So we need to kick them in the butt. All right? What we're going to do now is we're going to look at, so you're going to, that bit of paper, I call that your brain dump journal. All right? Some really great, now I'm going to give you some ideas, some really, first of all, we're going to go through some common negative beliefs. I'm just going to read out a whole heap. And I want you to put down the ones that you think that you've got. Then I'm going to tell you different places that you can go and different ways that you can identify your own limiting beliefs. And then we're going to work really, really hard on identifying our limiting beliefs together. Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to read some here. Here's some really common ones. And so anything that starts with but is the first one, but I'm going to tell you about that later. First of all, I'm just going to, Abby, stay focused. I'm going to read some to you. All right? I don't have, I don't deserve, I don't want or need these things. So I don't have, I don't deserve, I don't want or need. Time. Motivation. Knowledge. And these can be in any areas of your life, okay? Energy. Health. I don't have, I don't deserve, I don't want or need. Resources. Skills. A clue about who I am. Connections. Where to start. Support. Now, just so you know, ladies, these are ones that I've compiled from clients over time. So if you are putting them down, you're not alone. It's too late to change. I procrastinate. I am not a business person. Good mum, good friend, good whatever that label is. I will look foolish. I will be judged. My heart will get broken. I am not strong enough. I'm too fragile. I always manage to find the wrong men. I will be rejected. People will let me down. I can't trust. I've been betrayed before. I don't deserve it. I am not good enough. What makes me special? I am not an expert. grass is greener on the other side. That person was luckier than me. That person had the money to do that. I don't have the money to do that. Money is evil. Money is hard to come by. I start and I do not finish. Sneaky one in there. No one likes me. No one understands me. Now is not the time. Money is selfish. I'm happy with how things are now. Oh, love it. All right. Then we're going to look at blaming other people, but I'll do that in a little bit because I've got some sentence starters to help you. What I want you guys to do right now is open up your mics. I'm going to stop share here and I'm going to show you a few things. Open up your mics and tell me how that was for you, just those few that I compiled.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a few. I'd say it was a lot. Honestly, ladies, as you were going through different ones, I could resonate with probably 90% of them. I've said 90% of them to myself. And when I think about the things on my board, I can easily say, oh, okay, I didn't finish this, not because I didn't finish this because I didn't have time. I didn't finish this because I started that that self-talk. So for example, personal training. I didn't go and get I put personal training aside because I started telling myself who would want to train from me, someone who is not what society would call someone who looks like a personal trainer. And that's what caused me to not complete that. My drawing, I stopped doing drawing because someone, my teacher in my school, gave me a C in one of my drawings. And that killed my motivation for wanting to draw. So when you were going through that, I resonated with a lot of these, and I've said that about a lot of things that I've gone through in my life.
Absolutely. So it was useful then?
Very.
Sometimes this exercise can be really hard. And this is part of that getting uncomfortable. I'm getting comfortable with becoming uncomfortable, because what we're doing at the moment is we're bringing to the surface the honesty of the situation, the realism of the situation, so we can identify where this has come from. We can realize that it's actually not true. That whole I don't fit that PT model, that's bull dust. Okay, that's bull dust. And I can tell you that myself. When I rock up to a gym, there's a number of personal trainers, and not all of them fit that model. Okay, but I'm happy to learn from any one of them, because and so I can tell you right now that is just not a reality. And Jodie's probably very, very similar, as is a number of other people. That C, okay, and I'm not sure. I'm a teacher, so that when you are grading work, which is really horrible, I would hate to be an art teacher, you're grading to a set of specifications. Art shouldn't be specific. Art is really personal. It's beautiful, and it has a meaning to that person that does it. So maybe during that artwork, that specific art assessment, there was a set of criteria that you were meant to fulfill. And that's all that happened, was that your artwork was your artwork. It wasn't specific to that criteria. So these limiting beliefs that you have brought on, you can see now that they're actually not reality. Does that make any sense? We've had an experience, we've gained evidence, and that then becomes a reality. But I've just debunked it from you. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. So we're going to get really deep down and dirty. I'm going to give you some other ways, because I'm going to let you guys sit with this for a week to bring them all up, all of them. How about you, Jode?
It's interesting. I find when I do exercises like this, my brain wants to like blank out. Like, don't want to see it, don't want to experience it, can't think, that kind of stuff. So when you were saying certain sentences, though, it was actually triggering thoughts. So I was trying to write them down in between what you were saying too. So I had ones come up like, I am a mother as a limiting belief. I am weird. Yeah. I am weird. I'll just flip over to what else I wrote.
That I am a mother. So many people say that I am just a mum, or I am absolutely, really common. And that I am weird is really similar to Leah's, the whole I don't fit. I don't fit the same. I'm not in that box. Jules, Pace.
Yeah.
Classic. Yeah. How many people would have called him weird? But it's because of what we see, and because we've been taught to conform. So absolutely, continue.
Yeah. So what triggered that? I'm not good enough. Triggered. I'm weird. Yeah. Oh no, it was no one likes me.
There you go.
No one likes me. Triggered that. I am weird.
There you go.
Yeah. So I wrote down, I'm confused is one always comes up, and I don't understand. Like, I'm totally pushing everything away all the time.
Yep.
Or it doesn't bother me, you know. I start things and never finish. That's there. No one helps me. I can't afford it. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
I'm too busy. I don't have the time. I'm not as pretty as my sister.
Interesting.
One. When you were talking about your sister and her limiting beliefs, that triggered that one. Yeah. And she wanted to be a fashion designer, then went and studied it, and now she doesn't want to be a fashion designer. So, but she's always, and she had a story around being pretty as well. So I'm not organized. I don't, I'm too slow. So I had one. So a story came up around money, and mum never spoke about money. Mum and dad never spoke about money. And the only so they never taught us how we pay bills or how to manage our money. So that everything was like a secret. And I remember, so mum used to collect notes, the old notes that we used to have. And I remember this one time where she, because I used to go, I knew where they were, and I used to go and look at them, and all of a sudden they weren't there. And I remember asking her, where are they? And she's like, oh, we don't have enough money at the moment. I've had to use it for shopping or whatever it was. And the throw off to it was, well, because your dad's not working. So I have this thing about men using all the money in the family, and that we have to give them what they need and to get by. Like So I have it with my real dad. I know. I have it with my stepdad, and I also, that's now what I do. I'm making sure that, my man has enough money to go and achieve what he wants with it, whatever that is. And normally it's, well, for me, it's been they just go and drink beer with their mates. Something I wouldn't consider to be worthy of, that's our last $50. Let's go spend it on beer. So that's really interesting that come up.
Isn't it? And useful. Now you can see where all of these are coming from, and they're not necessarily reality. It gets even more interesting when you start to see the limiting beliefs of other people that you interact with as well. And when there's sometimes confliction in limiting beliefs, or even more so when you uphold the same limiting beliefs, because you then start clarifying for each other and supporting each other in those limiting beliefs. Couples do it all the time when they're trying to reach whatever goals, whether that's building a house, whether that's going on a holiday, and these are all very surface goals, but I listen to conversations. I listened to one down at the cafe the other day, and there was a young couple, and they wanted to move from Meadow Park to Lakelands. And the limiting beliefs that came from that was, well, we've got this job, so we're not going to have the money until this much time, and then we're not going to have the time to look for a property, and I really wanted to step in and say, can I talk to you for a second? Can I tell you what you're both doing for each other right now? You are both bringing up limiting beliefs and clarifying them for each other. And all of a sudden, you've got two brains looking for evidence, for reasons, for excuses not to reach those goals. Okay, and this is not a nice place for you guys. I know you feel like you're supporting each other, but you're not. You're helping each other hinder this whole whatever goal it is you're looking for, So you can be really mindful in your conversations now that you have with your partners, with your friends. Yeah.
So I just got it. Mum gave up her things so that her husband and family could be happy.
Yep.
So I've just repeated that. That's all I do. I give up everything all the time for everyone else to be happy.
I'm going to say one word. Marta. My mum is the same.
Yeah.
My mum is the same.
Yeah.
Now to the point where, and this has become a limiting belief of my mother, Leah, Jody knows my mum, not well, but she knows my mum, and I adore my mum. But my mum struggles with a lot of this. My mum has a very Marta complex. So I was brought up understanding from what my mum would tell me that she sacrificed so much for us kids, which has now turned into a limiting belief for my mum, like when we did the goals and the dreams, because instead she's got all these dreams, all these goals, but she won't go after them because she has always sacrificed everything for everyone else, and because she feels like we're not treating her the way that we should in return, that has now become a limiting belief, because she says things like, I would love to do this, but I don't have the support of my children. And I did all of these things for him. So she's got evidence. She backs up the evidence for all of these things. I would love to have, she wanted to be a state liner bus driver. I would have loved to have been a state liner bus driver, but I had to sacrifice that for my children. And she still talks about that now. And you go, well, why don't you go, and it just continues, why don't you go and do that now, Mum, if that's something you still want to do? Oh, no, because that's just what you did. I was just a mum and you sacrificed everything. And now, you'll just think that I'm silly and I don't have the support and it's too late. So she's carried this the whole time. She still does it. She still does. She won't listen to me very much at the moment, because it's confronting for my mum to listen to me. If someone else came in and spoke to her about it, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem. But because it's me, it's very funny. But yeah, that's a big one that parents have. I sacrificed everything for my kids. And a lot of people take that to the grave.
So that's interesting that you say that, because my mom does everything for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And when her husband, before he passed, my stepfather passed, it was like she was always doing something for him, running errands for him, always doing that. And so what I'm finding, the pattern that I've picked up from that is I now will stop what I'm doing to do something for somebody else, or put what I need to do on hold to do something for somebody else. And in the meantime, so whatever I needed to get done, I've either forgotten that I had to do it, because it's obviously not important anymore. And so then I'll think about it later and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that was important, but I put it aside because of this or because of that.
Yeah.
And so, and in my growing up, because it was just me and my mom, until she did get married. But even when she was married, it was like she was the one that was always working. When he got laid off, she was the one that was going out to work. Now that he's retired, I'm not retired yet. Guess what? I'm the one that's going out to work. And so, and I'm noticing that every day it's a challenge now for me, because I'm like, well, wait a minute, you get to stay home. I want to stay home, and so every day it's a mental fight for me, because I want to stay home and I want to do the things that I want to do. I want to finish my things on my dream board. So, but as you two were talking, I was like, I'm still repeating that pattern that my mom had.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It probably, when you watch your mums, it probably drives you silly to watch it. And you go, why do you do that?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not until you have the same realization, which is where I had, oh my God, I've fallen into that same story. And I literally, when you say stop and do things for other people, a lot of that was, it comes back down to that Tetris with the stopping. You've seen your mum do it. Okay, so it's now in your brain. So now your brain's looking for things to clarify that, and you just follow that pattern and behavior. It can also be a self-esteem thing. I have to do this for that person or they won't like me. Or I have to do this because, and it's a comfort. It's just the way it is. It's just what you do. It's what I saw mum did. Okay, and you probably won't even think these things out loud or even consciously. It's just what you do. So it's not until something like this, and you can then become mindful of it, when you go, hang on a minute, that cycle needs to break. That cycle needs to break, because otherwise you're going to get, however many years later, and your kids are going, oh, bloody mum, she used to do, everything for everyone else. Jody, that's, or the people in your church will be saying exactly the same thing that you're saying about your parents now. Exactly the same thing. Yeah? So let's do this. How cool. I love this activity. This is why we spend so much time on it, okay? And you just brought up another couple there, you know, I'm not organized, I'm too slow, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't fit, I'm too busy, it's not fair, I can't afford it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you now, the reason I'm asking you to write this down is that whole neurological linking. If you are, I didn't want to give you a template for this. I will give you a template, but I want you to write it down because when you're physically doing things, it connects in your brain more. I'm going to give you a number of sentence starters or trigger words that over the next week, I want you to look for and I want you to write them down. Okay? So the first one is but. Now, I know I told Leah this the other day. Yeah? I would have done this, but. I would have finished my PT, but. I would have brought that new plate set that I want for myself, but. Okay? But, one T, not two T's. Massive. Massive. And most of it will probably come from there. Okay? Because a lot of what I'm going to say now, the buts will come as well. I would have done that, but my husband didn't support me. Yeah? I want to stay home, but I have to go to work because my husband's retired. All right? And once we've got these down on paper, we can work out where they've come from. We can break them down. So, but is a big one. I don't have. And I said these before. I don't have is another sentence starter. I don't deserve. I can't. Jody, do you have a ghost? She's muted. I'm like, I just see a door open and shut. I'm like, are you aware of the fact that there's a ghost in your house?
Yeah. The kids are just opening and shutting the door.
It's going to be a YouTube phenomenon. Okay. All right, sorry, I'll keep going. That was terrifying. It won't. It won't or I won't. It won't or I won't. I heard this on ABC radio this morning. I never listened to the radio, and someone said, it won't work because politicians. It will not happen. It won't happen because whatever. I don't want or I don't need. I hear so many women go, I don't want lots of money. I don't need lots of money. Yeah? I wish. I wish. Now we're going to get a little bit more specific. I had to because. So this is an action related one. Leah, you cracked it on the head before. I have to go to work because. I have to or I had to. Doesn't matter what tense it's in. I have to because. I am not a. I'm not a smart person. I'm not a good business person. I am not, or even I'm not confident with public speaking. I'm not confident with going live. I am just a mum. I am just a wife. I would ... if insert person. So I would be happier if my husband would just be home earlier. I would be more successful if I just had the time. Or I would, ... insert thing, if different situation. I would have a bigger house if I was born into a family with more money. I would be able to do the things that I wanted to if I wasn't working. I would be able to travel if I wasn't a mum, whatever. And then here's the other people one. So this is very similar, but it's just, I've got lots of different ones because we think differently. My, insert person. My husband won't support me with the children, you know. My husband won't take up a job so that I can have some time off. My family doesn't understand what I'm doing and it makes life hard. My boss, my sister, my next door neighbour, all right, how's that go for you all? Another two really good places that you can look is think back to, as I said before, your dream board. When you were creating the dream board, what limiting beliefs came up for you then? Sorry, three things. Is your dream board. If you have an old journal, so there's a story of a lady who, and this is a classic, if you have an old journal or if you journal, go through that and look for limiting beliefs. So a woman that I speak to quite regularly, she had a journal even back in primary school. I'm not sure what ladies are doing running around after blokes in primary school. I was just never interested, but that's fine. I was like, primary school. She would write about boys that she liked, and then underneath it she'd have, but they would never like me. So wherever this limiting belief came from, yeah, but they won't like me. So right up through adulthood, if she developed feelings for anyone, there was this limiting belief, but they won't like me. But they won't like me. Okay, so it's really interesting if you go back, especially if you did journals at high school or primary school, or if you just journal at all, go through that because your limiting beliefs will shine through like, I want to say dog's balls, but okay, they will. Now that you're aware of them, you will just go, oh my God, oh my God. My sister in her journal was always, she was never going to be smart enough. She was never going to achieve the same grades as me. She was never, you know. So look back through your old journal. The other one that's a classic, ask someone else. Someone that you can trust. And if they don't know what you're talking about with limiting beliefs, ask them this. What do you think is stopping me from changing my life? Now remember, it's their perception. So it might not necessarily be true. You don't have to take it as gospel. But your husband, your people at church, your kids, your friends have been watching you and listening to you for a long time. So they may be able to help. All right, how's that? Good? Right. If you want to, feel free to create categories or you can categorize them. A lot of them will link to all the categories. So like I said, I use self, money, relationships, business, and lifestyle. They're the 5 categories I use. You may have different categories that you want to use, or you can use them. I will be putting all of these up in the next few days or today even. I've got it there on Discover Your True Self. But I want to give people time to watch this because I want them to write it down without just taking that template, because I want that connection, that neural connection. Yeah? All right. Now I'm going to show you something else. So unmute yourself and just tell me, as you were doing that, did any of those sentences trigger something for you?
Yes. The I would one. So the sentence that I came up with was, I would be able to travel if I was single.
Fantastic.
And that's everywhere. That's especially lately, it's just everywhere. Like I've got my whole family and I want to do all these incredible things, and I'm like, but then I have to, you know, Greg has to take time off work, and we've got to organise the kids and plane trips, and there's all this with that. So life would be easier if I was just single. Then I could just go and do whatever I want.
Life would be easier if. Life would be easier if. I love it. I'm going to write that one down. Life would be easier. It's just too hard. Okay?
Yeah.
Guess what? Greg can take time off of work. You can organise a plane trip. You can take your kids out of school. Okay, I promise you can. Guess what? I've seen so many other people do it, so I'm not lying. I've got evidence. I could probably get them to talk to you. Okay?
Yeah.
All those things you can do. They might take a little bit more work than a single person. I get that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I get that. I travel with my kids all the time. It takes a little bit more work than when I was, 23 to 27, globe trotting, not giving, it takes a little bit more work. But it can still happen. It can still happen. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's definitely one of my things that's in the way, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the whole, yeah.
Absolutely. And start talking to Greg about this stuff as well. And you will notice now, not to cause fights, but be mindful and wait to see the limiting beliefs that come through in his conversation.
Yeah, I've already noticed them.
Yeah.
Been noticing them, yeah. Especially around travel. Like I wanted to was it August? I'm like, right, next year let's go to Bali, the whole family, all 7 of us. And he was like, but what if the kids get sick? What if they get Bali belly? Like, I know how crook I was. So all this stuff come up. And then the other day he said to me, I would really love for all of us to go on a holiday as a family, like all 7 of us. And I'm like, hang on a minute, 8 months ago, I'm like all ready to go, and he's like, yeah, but we couldn't afford it then. So I've been noticing, all these, what if we get sick, what if this, and then money, we didn't have money then. And I'm like, well, why don't we say, like, how can we afford it, like change it around? And also I spoke to him about, like, that's actually stopping you from living the life you actually want to live, because I've suggested it 8 months ago and you're like and then it's taken you all that time to get around to going, yeah, I would really, really like that. So it's like slowing us down too as a partnership. So he got that, and we both decided to, in that conversation, just be really mindful of how the other person works and to not make them wrong about it, which was really cool. Really cool. Yeah.
That is so cool. That is so cool. It's one of the things we work on, because it's so easy to do that, because same thing, it just clarifies that we're right and they're wrong. I mean, I've been guilty of it. I've been guilty of it a number of times, but you also knocked on the head that the 2 very important points before we left today, that I was going to say why we need to address and overcome these limiting beliefs. It's because it's linked to fear. And you can hear that fear in Greg and yourself. We don't have the money. What if we get sick? Okay, it's linked to fear, which stops us from doing, and you said it, which stops us from living the life we want to live. Okay?
Yeah.
So we will come across limiting beliefs again in the negative thought, and also in championing fears. Okay, and it's because of the nature of the cycle and the internalization of the results that create that, which results in fear. So, I can show you that right now. What if I said to you right now, Jody, sing me a song. Go. You don't have to. It's okay. But what happens?
I'm like, oh, what song? I can't think of a song. I don't know a song.
I don't know a song. I can't sing. Oh my God, I can't sing. People are going to laugh at me.
Yeah.
Fear. Okay. It's a horrible thing to do to you. I'm so sorry. It's a horrible thing. Right. The second thing is that we can use limiting beliefs to our advantage, and you said that as well. I can't afford. They're signs. All right. Limiting beliefs are actually signs. They're signs that we need to do something in our lives to change it. I can't afford it. What is that a sign? Okay, we need to somehow change our spending habits, or we need to become more financially educated, or we need to be smarter with our money, or whatever it is. I want to start a business, but I don't have the technological skills. Bang, there's a sign. I either need to find someone with the technological skills, or I need to learn them myself. So you can, and this is what we're going to do next week. So we're going to, all your limiting beliefs, we're going to go, right, what are they telling us? Because in the end, limiting beliefs are just telling us something that we need to do. So they can be really cool, but we need to have them all down on paper first. How about you, Leah? Did that trigger anything for you, my dear?
It did. I think the one that really resonated with me was the I don't want, I don't need. And I think that really stuck out because there was a point in time, like where I work, where we had furloughs. And I don't know if you know what furlough is.
No.
Okay, so furlough means that you're basically not working, and you don't get paid.
Okay.
So they, and sometimes when you go on annual leave or sick leave, they pay you. But in this case, you're not going to work, and we're not going to pay you for that time that you're not working. And so what that did is that it cut our income. But being a minister, I really honed in on God will supply all my needs. And it, and it got me through that. And he did. It sustained me. But because I have that belief, that I have all that I need, I'm stuck on that I don't need.
Yeah.
But also, when I look at, I'd say a lot, I can't a lot. I do say that a lot. But then I know once I do it, obviously I can do it. So, yeah. And then I also say I would do if. So, it's kind of like I would work out more if I was retired, or I would do more on my business if I didn't have to spend 8 hours having somebody else grow their business. So there's a lot of these resonated with me. And and it's not, I guess I'm pretty blessed that I don't have a family that, at least I don't think they do. I have a family that supports me, so they don't hinder me from doing something unless they don't see the vision.
Yeah.
And when they don't see the vision, then I have a choice. I could either say, okay, well, you're just not going to see the vision, but I'm going on. Or I can help them see that vision. And then if they still don't get it, then, you just ain't going to get it. So it's my vision.
Yeah. And you move on anyway.
Yes.
See, a lot of it, they might be scared of your vision because it might be a reflection that it's probably something that they want to do in their lives, but they're not doing it. So it's actually a reflection on themselves, which can be pretty hard for people. Or they care about you and they bring their own limiting beliefs in for you. What if you fail?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what
Right.
if Leah fails? Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm at right now with okay, so being very transparent, I am really struggling with this whole building my business because it's a different territory, and I know I can do it. I've got the skills to do it. I've done it before. It just looked different. It may not have been for a business, it was for a ministry. But now that it's a business aspect, I'm really struggling to get out of my head that it's no different. And which is why I'm here, because you know, I need to get past that brick wall.
Yep.
And so that's why when we were going over these, I put myself in every single one of these where I've said it. I have all them. That limiting belief is like is a brick. Each brick on that wall is one of these beliefs, and so that's what I'm trying to get past, is breaking that brick wall and jumping out there in faith, saying, use all my skills that I have because I can do this. I've done it before. Just as, what is it? There's a term, same game, different ball game or something like that. I don't know. I forget what the term is.
Yeah, I've heard something like that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Excellent. So that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to tell you right now that you will succeed and you can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the thing that we're doing now, which is so cool, what we will do for you is, because I was going to say to everyone, either bring, because I'm going to show you something else as well, your 3 biggest limiting beliefs, or your 3 biggest problems, or your one area. So for you, that might just, we just focus on business. And I want you to bring all the limiting beliefs around that. And then next week, we are going to dissect that so much that you're literally going to have a set of things, almost like a goal or strategies, skills that you need to improve on, things that you need to do to be successful. Okay, so we're going to flip these. We're going to get out all the limiting beliefs around your business. So Jody, same thing, pick an area, whether it's family, whatever, it's completely up to you. And next week, we're going to absolutely dissect, what are these limiting beliefs telling us? What skills do we need? What changes do we need to make? Okay, what do we need to do? What development within ourselves do we need? Now, a really good, and this is going to be really beneficial for you, Leah, is this one. I'll bring it up for you. Now, I just put this up on the page. Okay, and it's my little tool, Identifying Limiting Beliefs Brain Dumping Journal. So even if you just focus on business, right, and if you just focus on one thing for the moment, because we can come back and do this with all of the rest of it. Same, Jody, because it sounds like we're going to get pretty intricate into this. Okay, and you can use all those sentence starters. So put business on a big bit of paper and go through. I don't, fill it out. I have not, I can't, but fill it out. And then there's this, and this gets even better. All right, this is my brain dumping journal for limiting beliefs. Jody knows. So brain dumping is literally that, like brain diarrhea on a page. You just get it all down, doesn't matter, and whatever you think goes down. Okay, you don't stop yourself from writing anything. So pick a dream, goal, or problem, and in your situation, growing your business. Now brain dump anything that comes to mind, because the cool thing is, that anything that you don't have, that I don't have the skills for, or that you don't have the skill, we've got connections with people that can, yeah? So, growing my business, why won't it come true? What could go wrong? What problems might occur? What will everyone else think, say, do if I grow my business? What is stopping me from achieving growing my business? What do I need to learn in order to grow my business? What am I lacking in growing my business? What will have to change to grow my business? Why don't I deserve to grow my business? big one. What will I lose if I grow my business? Why am I not good enough to grow my business? What am I avoiding so that I can grow my business? Why isn't growing my business possible? Can you see this? You can? Cool. I was like, well, hopefully I'm not just blabbing on a page. What makes growing my business not okay? What part of me thinks that growing my business is wrong? Right? And these are probably things you haven't let yourself think of. What is keeping me stuck? What is stopping me? What am I missing? What do I need? What else has to happen? What do others have to do? What are we relying on other people to do in order for this to work? What is getting in the way? What do I need more of? So this is just my other tool, along with those I haves, I don't, but, I can't, I would if, okay? So here's the other scale of that. So you can use a mixture of them, you can grab whatever you want, whatever works for you, but people do things differently. So that's why I've got that there for you. And if you focus on your business, then next week when we come, we will dissect for you what we need to do to get you growing. And so, look, sometimes that means doing things like time blocking. Sometimes that means letting some things go. But actually seeing it there and owning it and having it, because at the moment it's all in our heads, right, Joseph? And it's all just wishing around like a great big whirlpool, and thoughts come in and then thoughts go out, and there's no structure, and we don't really own it because we can sort of put it at the back of our minds. And whereas this way, we can actually look at it, we can assess it, we can control it. And we can act on it. Yeah? How's that sound? Yes! Yes! Like Rocky, you guys are muted, I can't hear you.
Sounds fantastic.
Excellent, excellent. So that is your job for this week now, is to take those tools and focus whatever you want to focus on, whether you want to do a whole thing of limiting beliefs or whether you want to focus on one area. But next week, I want you to come to me with your one main big goal or big problem, or your one, like business, growing my business. We'll get really specific on what it is you want to do. So you might get specific now. It might be, I want to earn $30,000 in my business every month. You might get really specific and then work out your limiting beliefs around that, which is a really good idea. We need to get, and Charlie Valla says it, Rhonda says it, Tony Robbins says it, the amount of people that I talk to that say get really specific and really clear on what you want. Because it's then you can identify the specific limiting beliefs around that. You can implement the specific tools around that. So get really clear on what you want, work out the limiting beliefs around that, bring that next week, and we will dissect exactly what that is telling you. No, I'm still there, I was just tricking. I was just tricking. All right, ladies, so that's it for the minute. I think I've gone for a long time and it's been heavy. I've given you a lot of stuff. So it's there for you to go away with. Do you have any questions, any comments, anything?
I don't.
Okay. Are you a little bit excited, even though that this can be quite a confront? Yes. Excellent. See how much better it is when someone says to you, we're going to work on how you're going to get better. We're not going to look at why you're not. And this is my thing. A lot of people will help you identify your limiting beliefs and then they leave it there. And I've got an issue. I'm like, why are you leaving someone like a rabbit in a spotlight just scared? That wasn't productive. You've just made it worse. Okay. You need to show them how to utilize this new knowledge that has just come to them. My goodness. So I'm glad you're excited. That's exactly where I wanted you to be. So go away, create magic, own it, get it down so you can control it. And then we're going to work magic with it and get you moving.
Okay.
Okay.
Your eyebrows look fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I actually haven't had them done yet. But
you haven't?
No, look, I'll go up close. Can you see?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had to put shiny stuff on it because if I didn't, my eyebrows would have been about here. And you're like, Like this. I don't carry my waxes. She's just come back from her wedding. She's so lovely. And she always says to me, you're not that hairy. And I'm like, I'm sure you say that to everyone that sits on your table. I think that's like what you learn at table. Oh, don't worry, you're not that hairy. It's okay. It's okay. I've got this. I'll be like all glammed up next time. Be all glammed up. All right, ladies, have a fantastic day. If there is anything, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Good on you for uploading that. Yes, well done, ladies. And same thing. Get on there, share whatever you need, share any breakthroughs, and you'll be surprised when someone goes, like you did today, oh my God, I feel the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in this together. All right, beautiful. Look how excited I am. All right, beautiful ladies, I'll leave you with that, and I'll speak to you throughout the week, and I will see your lovely faces same time next week.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Bye, Jody.
And good night.
All right.
Bye.